Mala Sudam Kumbha Vibodha Mudra Vidyavirajata Karavari Jatam Apara Karunya Sudam Burashim Sri Sharadamba Pranatosmitityam. Seeking the benediction of Jagan Mata Sharda Parameshwari, that repository of all that is culture, knowledge, tradition, wisdom, art, learning and fine art, I bow to her as I commence my address today. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this pleasant and solemn function organized this evening as the Sabha charts out yet another path, a tributary from the main path of perpetuation, preservation and promotion of the greatest virasat of this land, its blessed music in all its glory and the manifestation of a tradition and a heritage never seen elsewhere in the globe. We are today remembering the legendary flautist T.R. Mahalingam and are also welcoming the family of our National Eminence Awardee for lifetime contribution to music, Sarangi Maestro, Padma Vibhushan, Pandit Ramnarayan ji. How I wish he was present here today, and he was to have been present here today. But at the ripe age of 92, an inclement weather will have its toll on any senior, and therefore this entire family represents Pandit ji today. As we remember the flautist Mali, several of us who have heard him know what he was. Mali was born in the village Talinagar in the Tanjavur district. This village adjoined Tirudai Mardur. The presiding deity of Tirudai Mardur was Mahalinga Swami, and therefore the parents decided to name the child, who was one amongst the 6 siblings, as Mahalingam. It was a musical tradition-based family with a rich lineage and heritage, and therefore at the age of 3, the young child was initiated into vocal music. His father believed that all of them should get into vocal music. Gopal Iyer, who was a dear friend of Mali's father Ramswamy Iyer, saw that the child had great aptitude for this basuri, this flute, and saw that he was playing it effortlessly. With great difficulty, he prevailed upon his father and switched him over from vocal to flute. And it was not easy. The boy played in 3 varying speeds, the complex Viraboni Varnam, and then the father was able to believe that a star has been born, a genius is on the skyline, and it was quick enough for him to take the decision that my boy is better off in flute than in vocal. At the age of 6, he withdrew him from the school and plunged him into the concert circuit. The needs of the family required him to perform for them. And as he plunged into the concert platform, crowds came in droughts to see the young lad. It was amazing for people to see how an instrument like this can generate that much of melody and music, the like of which we have never seen before. And in the year 1933, at the age of 7, Mali came to perform for the first time in Chennai in Rasika Ranjani Sabha, the RR Sabha at Mylapore. Parur Sundaram Iyer and Mushri Subramanian Iyer, who had come to witness this young boy's concert, were awed by the performance of the boy that they gave a silk shawl to him. At the age of 7, the boy was honored by the Jambavans of that type. Soon concerts came his way in large numbers. Name and fame spread far and wide for Mali. The best thing that to have happened to Mali in his professional career was when Palagat Mani said that he will accompany these young artists. The duo were made for each other, and I think it was the greatest thing that would have ever been happened to Carnatic music. Semangudi Srinivas Iyer was once asked to name the 3 greatest of greats of Carnatic music. He did not demur, and in a wink of a second he said, Mali, Rajaratnam Pillai and Palagat Mani Iyer. That Mali was the youngest of the 3 came foremost in the mind of the Bhishma Pitamaha of Carnatic music is adequate testimony to the versatility of the instrument and that of the flautist as well. With Palagat Mani Iyer, the duo had several scintillating performances, the like of which were never seen before or during those times or even today. As he gained in name and fame, And since the boy did not had that basic education, having been withdrawn from the school at a very early age, it was difficult for the boy to hold on to the honors, the accolades, the recognitions that came his way. Mali was also a fine violinist. People who have heard Mali's violin will say that it was better than most of the legends of our times. Mali used to have a flute which had not 6, 7 bores, but it had 8 bores. The bores were smaller in size than the conventional flute. And the eighth one that was closer to his lips added to the rich tonal quality and the vibrancy of the music that came out of that flute. And the way Mali used to hold it in his left hand, it was like a kilipidi. That's how in Tamil they used to call it, kilipidi, parrot clutch. Effortlessly will hold on. If Mali moves also, it will not come out of his mouth. And he was adept in various ragas. In fact, if I were to name the ragas, that itself is a long this thing, but I will certainly tell you Kamboji, Bhairavi, Edukula Kamboji, Atana, Sahana, Kalyani, and all variations of Kalyani. We had never seen the like of anyone playing these ragas, the delineation of which was done with great aplomb and dignity by an artist like Mali. In Swaras, there is no parallel to Mali. Mali first and Mali last. We haven't seen anyone who can come to that level of Mali. As I told you, as he gained in acceptance all across the country and beyond, and could not hold on to the weight of the celebrity status that came to him, Mali fell into wayward ways. Soon he became a victim of liquor. And the amount of the liquid that was going into him was far more than the morsel of food that was getting into him. There were days when Mali faltered in the schedule of the concerts and could not even come. And there were still days when he came and had to be lifted and put onto the stage. It used to create turbulences, commotions, and the Ratsikas would never appreciate that the artist for whom they have come is not able to start the concert. But the moment Mali came to his senses and started his concert, all those turbulences vanished. All those commotions that they had seen just a few minutes before had evaporated into the thin. And then they were transported to a world of ethereal charm and ecstasy that they have never experienced before. And then their reverence, regard, and gratitude for Mali was far more than the wayward ways that Mali became a victim of. Because of his inability to keep to the various program schedules after having accepted them, Sabas moved out of him. Equally so, honors and accolades also moved out of him. National honors which were to come his way did not come to him because of this addiction that he had to liquor. But Mali had 2 hoots for awards and accolades. I think the greatest award that Mali ever enjoyed was his music. And to some extent his Ratsikas, because he still could believe that he is there because of his Ratsikas. At the age of, in the year 1980, at the age of 54, Mali married his own disciple, Alan, who was an American citizen. And Mali migrated to United States. Some of the contemporaries here heaved a sigh of relief because he has left space for others to occupy. Some of them felt that it is good riddance for them. But some genuinely believed that Mali will transform himself for the better in the company of his wife and shall redeem himself if ever were to come back to India. But then old habits die very hard. What gets into you never gets out so easily. And it was just 4 years that Mali came back to India. In the year 1984, Mali returned to India. And when he returned to India, I think he got more into whatever he had before. Therefore, he made people feel that it is a continuum of a life journey which had seen no change. In the year 1986, as soon as the month of Chitrai came, that is the beginning of the new year, that is April, Mali took color photographs of his and then wrote a short note and sent across to all the newspapers, magazines, weeklies and dailies and told them, you may require this. That's all he wrote. He did not write anything beyond that. You may require this. He had a premonition that the end is nearing. And on the 30th of May, 1986, at the age of 60. That day he had a cerebral hemorrhage. He never recovered that day and he died that day itself. It was a strange coincidence that exactly 5 years before, on the same day, Palagat Maniyar, his accomplished friend and admirer, also passed away. With the demise of Mali, an era came to an end. There was a subtle sense of feeling that music has demised for some time. But soon, both the Rasikas and the world of music remembered and recovered to the fact that the baggage of music that Mali has left behind is far too much, not for one generation or two generations. Several generations will be able to take on what Mali has given into the world. Mali became a phenomenon. Mali continues to be a phenomenon. He will be a phenomenon at all times in history as long as music pervades this earth. Today we are privileged to have the entire family of Pandit Ramnarayan ji with us. He also, in the ordinary course, would have been with us, but for his health. In the year 1944, Pandit Ramnarayan ji got into the circuit of concert performances as an accompanist. From Lahore, that portion of Pakistan from where he hailed that time, he soon came over to Delhi and then shuttled between Delhi and Bombay, which were the two places where Hindustani music held its fort. But soon he realized that there is a great limitation of being an accompanist to a main artist, and that the potential that the man has and the variation that he has got to his instruments get drowned before a vocalist or before some other instrument whose sounds resonate far more than the sarangi. And then he took the brave decision of eking out solo, ekla chalo, and he decided that he shall plunge into the world of music all by himself. He made several variations to sarangi, most of which are standard benchmarks, the like of which are followed even today by any player of this instrument anywhere in the world. If ever there is one artist who gave dignity to an instrument and brought it to the level of the concert platform equivalent to that of the main vocalist, it is Pandit Ramnarayan. Sarangi by itself had no history, but history was created when the great master took it unto himself. Countless generations have been inspired by him to play the sarangi. But charity begins at home, therefore he influenced the whole lot of his family, his son, his grandson, his daughter, Aruna, all to get into this. They are legends in their own right. They are masters in their own pursuits, as much as the master himself is. A parampara continues, a series continues. And to most of us who had seen them perform in the parampara series, the grandfather, the father, and the grandson, in the Golden Jubilee year of the Sabha in the year 2002, in the month of October, I think that concert will remain long in the memory of people who had witnessed that concert under the Parampara series of the Sabha. You might all be wondering, what is this connection between Mali and Pandit Ramnarayan ji? I think it brings to fore the beauty of music. Genres of music do not make any difference. The fusion that we are speaking about is a non-existing fusion. It is there even otherwise. Music is music, no matter what style and what delivery you have. And this is the greatest example of two friends who came together regardless of the music that they practiced. In the year 1978, Mali was invited by the French radio to give a performance. Those days, the protocol in the French radio was 1 hour performance, exactly 1 hour performance. And it will be relayed live audio for listeners all across France. And it was a series of concerts where they used to invite foreigners to do that. And that year, coincidentally, Pandit Ramnarayan was also invited to perform. He came earlier to Paris, and therefore he decided that he shall go and witness the concert of Mali on that day. And as one could have predicted, Mali came fully drunk. The French had never witnessed such a situation in an artist. It was an affront to the dignity of French to believe that an artist, and that too a foreigner, would put up pranks like this. There was commotion, there was turbulence. In fact, the director of the radio was greatly upset. And It took some time for Mali to settle down to believe that he has come to play. But the moment he took the flute into his mouth and the reed got into it, he transported the people to a different world. And as I said before, every disturbance that was there before the beginning of the concert vanished in no time. And then what happened next was breach of the protocol for the first time, and 1 hour concert went on for 2 hours. And the French radio relayed it completely without any letter break. Never happened before, but for the first time they did that. During the course of the concert, he looked at Pandit Ramnarayan and told him to come and sit next to him. Might be he thought that the liquor in him will get drowned faster in the company of a saintly person like Panditji, and therefore he came and sat next to him. At the end of the concert, Mali said that this is the last concert in the international circuit that he shall ever play. And then he handed over that flute of his to Pandit Ramnarayan as his gift to his friend. And for 40 long years from 78, he has been holding on to this treasure, looking out for people who can hold it with the sanctity with which Panditji himself had held on to this instrument, and it can be delivered unto somebody who will value it, who will treasure it, who will bring it to public domain so that countless number of practitioners of flute, why only flautists, everybody else will be inspired to believe that there are great artists like Mali. And I think we were fortunate that his eyes fell onto our Sabha and he felt we are worthy of receiving this precious gift that he had himself preserved with great devotion for the last 4 decades. And that's what has brought us to this day. How I wish we would have been very happy if he would have handed over to us. But then his letter is too poignant for Suri to read and tell you why he values giving it to our institution. But one thing is certain, that we are beholden to him for the confidence that he has in this institution. I am sure we will strive to be worthy of that confidence at all points of time in history. A new journey begins from today. We begin that with Mali's flute. From now on, in the coming 3 years, or even less than that, we shall ensure that all the instruments of the master of masters, the great legends of our times, are assembled by us, and then a virtual exhibition comes in this Sabha, where every instrument would be on display of the great artists of our times. And if our technology were to permit, the sensor, the moment you touch, if you were to touch the glass case of Mali's flute, you will get Mali playing his flute. So it will be a recall and it is a reminder to all of us of the greatness of this artist. And therefore, when we begin this new journey, what better way to start than to have the blessings of Pandit Ramnarayan. And what better way to start than to have the youngest of the family and the youngest in our contemporary days to perform in recognition and in gratitude for Mali and bring the greatness of Sarangi to all of us. With these words, I am extremely beholden to Ramnarayan's family for having come here today, and Brij Narayan represents his father not just as the father's son, representative of the art itself, of the instrument itself, of the music itself, and therefore it doesn't make big difference because the grandfather was not there. The father and the grandson are there, that we receive it from their hands. And I promise we shall treasure it, and a new innings in the history of this institution shall commence, which will open up new corridors for motivating young, aspiring artists to join the mainstream of this great culture of our land. Thank you.